Alright, hello everyone. For this video, I'm showing you experimental week 4 digestive system number 2 that involves the processes, processes of digestive system. Now we're going to start off by the what we call the Benedict solution first. The whisking tube first, because it will take a long time for the diffusion to happen lah. Okay, so basically this is a whisking tube. This whisking tube, this is what we call the semi-permeable membrane. All right, so whatever you have right now is dry. You need to wet the whole tube, okay, and then you also need to rinse in the inside, add water in the inside so that you can become like a plastic bag, something like this. Okay, so this is a whisking tube. Now you need to prepare the material to test. Okay, you need to prepare number 1, starch solution. Starch solution, I just put some water into this rice. You need to put some rice over here, and then the water becomes starchy. See that? So this is the starch water. All right, and then you need to add glucose inside as well. So this is a solution that we'll put inside the whisking tube. Okay, so you need 15 of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Why I use that much of glucose? Because I need to be very concentrated. Okay, so if you refer to the slide early on, the whole experiment is we want to talk about semi-permeable membrane, which is happen in our intestine. You see, so what happened to our intestine is we can able to absorb smaller particles such as glucose. Yeah, so glucose will pass through this membrane, but starch, which is more complex, what we call nutrient, the starch could not pass through the membrane. Okay, so how do we do this? Initially, I have this solution over here. I use 15 spoon of glucose. So give it a good stir, and inside over here there is starch as well. So there is a mixture of starch and also what we call the glucose. All right. So now, for the beginning of the experiment, you need to test the existence and the existence of glucose and also the what we call the starch. So use one test tube, use a clean dropper. I'm going to do the first test. Okay, all right, just a bit of water over here of this mixture of this solution. Then you have to put in the iodine. You need to put in the iodine. So the iodine will test the existence of glucose. If there is any glucose existence of what we call the starch. If there's any starch exists, then it will turn into dark brown color. Okay, so I'm going to overturn this. I'm going to add 1 drop directly into this solution, and just a few drops, and you can see it's become dark blue. Okay, so when it becomes dark blue, that means there is starch inside. Okay, there's starch inside. All right, you can see some dark blue. So there is starch inside here, and then there's the existence of what we call starch. Sorry. Next, which is the glucose. Now to test glucose, as previous experiment, we also do this before. We just use the same dropper, take a little bit, just around 1 cm height, okay, of this mixture. So inside, to test this Benedict, you need to add. To test this glucose, you need to add Benedict solution. Okay, add Benedict solution inside, but at the same time, you also need to put into the hot water. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add around 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since you have plenty, then you add more lah. Okay, 10 drops inside here. Shake a bit. You need to put into this piping hot water. Alright, so that the reaction will go faster. Okay, you can use a stopper to stop it. Okay, you can use the reaction to stop it. Use a tester to stop it. Then after a while, the reaction will be turned orangey. So I will just leave it over here, and I'm going to move on to my next experiment. Okay, so now next is we going to test the whisking tube. Okay, now to do this whisking tube, you need to tie one corner first. Now I leave it for here for some time, it become a little bit wet. Okay, so you need to tie like ice cream. You just tie a knot over here. See that? Just tie the knot, turn around. There you go. Tie a knot like this. Then make sure you pull tight, and make sure you tie the end over here and pull extremely tight so that no water will be leaked out from this side. And then you need to fill in this liquid inside, the mixture of starch and also the glucose. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. Now the height of this water cannot be longer than this boiling tube, because later we're going to put inside here. So roughly this height. Then you're going to tie like ice cream again. So the whisking tube we provide is long enough for you to tie this way. Okay, long enough for you to tie this way. There you go. Then I need to pull out until it's super tight. Okay, so it's super tight, and then you have a candy of this mixture of liquid. So after you have this, make sure ask student to wash. Okay, wash the whole thing so that you can remove any contamination at the outside of this membrane, because we want to make it super clean. Yeah, so that when you put inside the water, the glucose only will come out from this membrane, the starch will remain inside. Okay, so after a while the whole thing will become orange. See that? Okay, now when it becomes orange, it shows that there is glucose. Alright, there's glucose. Okay, so what we're going to do next is I need to fill this up with water, and I'm going to put this inside. Okay. Alright, so this will be the final expectation that you student have to do. You can see the whisking tube is inside, and then outside there is water. This is only plain water. Okay, of course you can do testing on this plain water before the experiment, where it won't react with iodine, it won't react with what we call a Benedict solution. Okay, because the water itself, there is no starch, there's no glucose. At the end of the experiment, it takes around 30 minutes. The glucose will escape from this membrane. Okay, the glucose will escape from this membrane. The rate of the diffusion of the glucose depends on, number one, the concentration of glucose. That's why you need to put 15 spoons of this glucose into the container. And number two, the surface area contact with water. So that's why I purposely get this tube, so that all sides of this whisking tube is contact with water. And number three, the amount of water. If you put into a big container, you know, the diffusion will happen, but the concentration is very low. When we test this, the result is not obvious. Okay, that's why I purposely do this, and you need to leave it for at least a good 20 minutes. So for now, I'm going to leave it over here. Then only I do 2 more tests about digestive system number 2 on week 4. So I'm going to talk about this. I think the slides mention clearly where to show you why we need to chew our food. Okay, we need to chew our food so that we break down this food into smaller pieces so that we can digest easily. Okay, that's why try not to straight away swallow your food. You must bite to crunch your food. Yeah, so this is the evaporation tablet. I think you can, while waiting for this result to happen, you can do this. Now the first step that we break down the food is happen in your mouth, where with saliva can break down what we call starch into a smaller form. Okay, so in this experiment I already did this is the final result. All right, so first of all you need to prepare starchy water. This is a starchy water, and then make a big batch, make one big batch. Then you need to add a good amount of iodine so that it will become this color. You can put lesser amount, then it will become less dark. Okay, then after that pour half into the new container, another new container, and then you're going to spit with the saliva. Okay, you're going to spit into saliva. Yeah, spit saliva into this. Use their own saliva. So what happened is the saliva will break down the starch. So right now I have my saliva in this cup, yeah, and you can see there's some cloud over here. Yeah, it's already start to breaking down the starch, and this is the original one without any saliva. And you can see the color is become clearer and clearer. The longer I put, the longer it will digest. Okay, so that is to teach about what we call digestion happen in your mouth by using your saliva. Okay, so now after this, then only we will test the what we call the whisking tube. All right, so for that I will have another video. So I will strongly recommend you to try this, and also one time, yeah, especially the saliva part. Okay.